Hey, Mohammed. Never mind. Yo, what's up, Broncos country? This is Eddie with Colorado Sports Connection. Joined tonight with Mohammed. Tonight we're going to talk about the schedule, the primetime games, the revenge games, and give our predictions on what we think the Broncos are going to do, this year and what their record is going to be. So, to get into it, I wanted to get Mohammed. I wanted to get your gut reaction on the schedule release and what you thought of it.
Just thought it was kind of interesting. Honestly, like I know we talked last week. Thought we are gonna be playing the Steelers week one. That would have been awesome, but still, I guess it's week two. It is not a difficult schedule. Like me looking at it overall, it's somewhere maybe in the middle. I would say. Very interesting games as we're gonna, I guess, get into as well. So overall, not bad, not bad. What did you think?
Um, Honestly, I wasn't too shocked about it. I thought it was a decent schedule. From my understanding, from what I've seen and heard, Broncos have the fourth easiest schedule this year. And I mean, of course, you got division games, which are always going to be hard. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
who the team is, whether it's the Raiders, Chargers,
Yeah.
Chiefs. Those are always going to be harder games. But
Mhm.
like the only games on there I really seen that were like, oh my god, like I was terrified of outside of our division games is the Ravens and the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really too concerned with no other team on there. Like, are you?
No, you're right. Maybe the Falcons, the Jets, maybe depending on like how their quarterbacks play. But for the most part, yeah, those are the two teams. I mean, Ravens and Bengals. You're right.
Yeah. Well, the Jets I could understand a little bit, Mohammed, only for the
Mm.
simple fact Aaron Rodgers is back, but we don't know how he's going to play.
No.
Honestly, he's been out for a year, and the last
Exactly.
time he played a full season in Green, whenever
Mhm.
he was in Green Bay, he really didn't look that good.
Mhm.
And we should have beat the Jets last year, in my opinion, because if it wasn't for that fumble, if Russ would have just held on to the ball, we probably would have won
Yeah.
that game, or at least had
Yeah.
it sent it to overtime.
Mhm.
So, but with that said, we got two primetime games this year. Which that could be at first that could be a good thing, but if the Broncos start off well, I think they might get flexed into a couple more primetime games. Honestly, maybe one of the Kansas City games, maybe
Mhm.
the Ravens game or the Bengals game. One of those games could be a primetime game, maybe. I don't know. But with the primetime games, I think the first one is against the Saints, I believe,
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football,
True.
if I remember right. Because I don't think we have any Monday night games this year. I think we only got two, one's Sunday, one's Thursday.
Mhm.
What do you think of Sunday Night Football? Broncos going to New Orleans, Sean Payton facing his former team. What do you think about that?
I think it's gonna be a win for us. I think Sean is gonna be all fired up. He's gonna be ready for it. I doubt we lose that game. I see us winning, honestly. When I looked at the schedule, I was like, yeah, Sean's going to be ready for that game. What did you think?
Oh, I agree. I don't think isn't Michael Thomas. Didn't he leave for free agency, or is he still a Saint? I can't remember off the top of my head
Hmm. I want to say
because
he left. I can't remember to who, though.
I don't know if he went to a team. He
Hmm.
might still be a free agent.
Free
Personally,
agent.
I don't
Okay.
know. But with that said, it's just like they drafted Spencer Rattler in the fifth round. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be the starter. By week seven, I think
Hmm.
that's when we play the Saints is week seven in prime time. Derek
Hmm.
Carr is probably still going to be the starter, but that team, I believe, lost a lot of good players this offseason. And I don't see it. And like you said, I believe it. I believe Sean Payton's going to be fired up for that game.
Exactly.
If there's
Hmm.
one game outside of maybe the Raiders, trying to break that streak since they broke the Kansas City streak last year, this is a game on his schedule. He circled, completely freaking circled, ready to go. Because he's like, I am not like, he's like, I'm going to go back to New Orleans. He's like, I'm not going to get beat by my former team. Like, even whenever we had Russ, the
Yeah.
first game for Russell Wilson in the Broncos uniform was against Seattle. I'm sure Russ probably had that circle on his schedule too. Like, I'm not going to
Mhm.
lose to the Seahawks, even though we know how all that went.
Yeah.
But you know, I just Sean Payton, like he's gonna walk into New Orleans and he's gonna be like, I mean, I know he left, he didn't get fired, but he's gonna be like, you know what, I can still coach. Let's do this. And I think they're gonna walk in there and they're just gonna destroy the Saints. even on their own house. Because like I said, they got rid of a lot of good players. They need to rebuild. Like if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that the Saints, they have been over the cap for like, like 60 million over the cap for like the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And they're still over the cap. They cut all these players and they're still over the cap. Like they just desperately, like I think this is Dennis Allen's last year. The Saints don't do anything. He's probably going to be
Probably.
fired. So they're probably going to tear the whole thing down at that point. And maybe Spencer Rattler's their future, even though he was drafted in the fifth
Mhm.
round. They can move on from Derek Carr next offseason. They can move on
Mhm.
from any other big stud, players, and clear up that cap space and have a new cap, maybe have a young quarterback, development quarterback on the roster and Spencer Rattler that the new head coach can be like, yeah, I can work
Mhm.
with this kid, or maybe he'll go into the draft next year and get his own guy. Um, but yeah, I agree with you, Mohamed. I think Sean Payton's going to walk in there with his chest puffed out and just be like, let's do
Yeah.
this.
His
You know,
ego, man. Come on. And Eddie, like with me is like Derek Carr. I always thought he was a decent quarterback when he went to the Saints. I thought that was a good thing for him. I mean, I hated him when he was with the Raiders for obvious reasons, but I always thought he was a decent quarterback. But I don't know what happened. Like it's just not kind of working out as I thought it would. But
he's
oh
on
well.
he's on the plus side of 30 though, ain't he?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Kind of getting up there
Maybe
in
he's starting
age,
to go down that hill a little bit.
decline. Yeah, yeah,
You
probably.
know, I mean, he's probably still got something in the tank, but
Mhm.
he's not going to be the player I think he was like 3-4 years ago, personally.
No.
But with that, let's move on to the next primetime game. Um, Cleveland Browns coming into Denver to play us on Thursday Night Football. Now, this one, like a lot of people are calling this the Jerry Judy revenge game.
Hmm.
Revenge game for what? The guy couldn't catch a pass. I'm like, I'm not really worried about it. Like, even if we leave Jerry Judy wide open, they're probably not going to worry about it. He'll probably just drop the pass anyway. But um, Thursday Night Football, Browns coming to town. What do you think?
I have us winning that game. I don't know why, but just like a gut feeling that we're gonna win. They're coming to Denver. Um, I don't know Deshaun Watson. I guess it's gonna be. But I don't know if that's gonna make any difference. To be honest with you, but I think we're gonna win. You know.
Well, here's the thing, though. Think about this too. Like the Browns had one of the top, 5 defenses last year in the league. What happened? They came into Denver last year and we destroyed them.
Beat them. Yeah, with
We hung
Russell Wilson.
29, almost 30 points on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Granted, our defense got a lot of takeaways, but we still scored 29 points.
That was a good game.
And
Eddie. Yeah.
the Browns were only able to get what, 12?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is to me, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a win for sure. There's no way we're losing to the Cleveland Browns. Yes, their defense is good, but so was their defense last year. And honestly, we had Russell Wilson, who was Mr. Fumble the game away, last year and, bail out of a clean pocket to try to make a play whenever you didn't need to. And if, like I said last week, if Bo Nix is the guy that everybody thinks he is, he fits Sean Payton's system. Sean Payton, handpicked his own guy. He throw the timing routes, throw all these, run Sean Payton's offense, the checks, everything like that. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to beat the Browns again at home. There's no reason. Do you think Nick Chubb will return after? I think he will return, Mohammed. I think Nick Chubb will
Mm-hmm.
return, but I don't think he's going to be the same old Nick Chubb we knew. Kind of like Javante. He returned last year, but I think he went from his previous year or his rookie year. I think he was like 4.4 yards a carry. Last
Mm-hmm.
year, I think he was only 3.6 yards a carry. So Nick Chubb will probably be back, but I don't see him being the same player. What do you think?
I don't know, Eddie. Like now, this question kind of brought up the whole injury thing. That was gruesome. Oh my God, man.
Do
I
you
don't
see that
know.
last year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I thought he was gonna like retire or something. I don't know, but hey, he's a pretty good running back, so I would not be surprised. Is he gonna be the same? I highly doubt that, but you know,
Well, they said, he broke his leg, right? It wasn't a torn ACL or anything. He broke his leg.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, like with ACLs too, it takes about a good solid 2 years for, not just the leg to heal, but for that player to fully trust that leg again, which is why,
Mhm.
like, I think last year for Javonte personally, for me, going off the Nick Chubb thing here, we didn't see the same explosiveness and the same,
Mhm.
grit from Javonte last year because he was only a year removed or 10 months when the season started, removed from that injury, you know. And Sutton, the same thing. You could say the same thing about Sutton whenever he tore his ACL.
Took him
You know,
out, yeah.
he tore it, what, 2020?
Mhm.
2021, he came back. He wasn't the same player. He wasn't getting in and out of cuts very good. He was. And then 2022 and this year, he balled. He looked good. He was able to do the cuts. He was able to, make the plays that were needed. I think this year for Javonte, I think that, he'll, 2 years removed, he'll probably fully trust that knee again, and he'll be that same beast that we saw, his rookie year. But for Nick Chubb, I think it's the same thing. I'm like, yeah, he'll probably be back this year, but he ain't going to be the same player. It might take him this season, and maybe in next season, he'll be that same player he was before. But, I think Nick Chubb's in like his 26th, 27th
Yeah,
year. If he
still,
comes,
yeah.
like, whenever he finally fully trusts that knee, he'll probably be at 28, which is like a dinosaur in running back years. So I don't know. I don't think Nick Chubb's ever going to be back to the same player he was before the
Mhm.
injury.
I don't know,
What do you?
Eddie. Like, yeah, like you talking about running backs kind of got me thinking about Estime and Javante. Woo! I can't wait for that. But Nick Chubb, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. If he's like this year, I don't see it. You know, he's gonna be slow. It's gonna take him a while and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mhm.
And I mean, they got who's the other kid? Ford, I think his name is the other back they got. Like, I think the Broncos finally this year. I think because we know what the Cleveland Browns are, what they're gonna do. Even with Deshaun back there, I know he didn't play that great last year. Oh, Jerome Ford, there we
It's
go.
Ford. Okay.
Uh, even with last year, um, they had Watson back there. He didn't play that great. Then he got hurt and he was out for the rest of the season. I just don't think Deshaun's going to be that same player. He's not. The Browns, I think, are going to do the same thing they've always done, even with a solid quarterback, which is play defense, run the ball. And honestly, I think the Broncos have gotten better in the run game. That Myers trade that we
Absolutely.
did during the draft, like the three guys on the defensive line, Zach Allen, DJ Jones, and now Meyer, those three are supposed to be really, really good at stopping the run. Hopefully,
Mhm.
all three of those guys together on the field at the same time can stop the run this year. Maybe we can shut that down. Because that's been one of our big things outside of like
Mhm.
quarterback play. Our Achilles heel is we can't stop the run. With those three on the defensive line, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to stop the run. If we can shut down the run for Cleveland, I think Bo Nix is going to go off in that game.
Yeah.
If Russell Wilson was able to do it, who can't see over the middle, I mean, like I said, Bo Nix is going to kill you by 1,000 paper cuts. Is what he's going to do. He's just going to, I wouldn't say dink and dunk, but it's going to be like what Vic Fangio used to say: death by 1,000 inches or by
Mhm.
inches.
Death by
It's going to
inches.
be the
Yeah.
same thing. It's going to be the same thing. That's what Sean Payton and Bo Nix are going to do. They're just going to kill you with them short, intermediate timing routes over the field, and that's a good way. That running the ball is a good way to run out or wear out the defense. I think that's what we're going to do this year. Sean Payton
Mhm.
did it last year. He's going to do it this year to Cleveland. So
Like I
just
said, Eddie, our line, like that D line, is gonna be sneaky good. People are just not gonna see that happening, but we're gonna be good. That's gonna be a big improvement, I believe.
I really hope so. With those three up
Mhm.
there, like I said, all three of them were brought in to stop, help, because they were
Yeah.
good in the run. Hopefully that changes this year and we can
Mhm.
stop the run. God, that would be
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the big games for the Broncos this year. The games that are like revenge slash, games that people are going to be wanting to see. So I think we got three of them personally, but the main one is I'm pretty sure the main one that I don't think everybody's looking forward to the Sean Payton and New Orleans game. I think
Mhm.
everybody's looking forward to the week 2 game. Steelers
Steelers.
coming to town with Russell Wilson playing Denver.
Mhm.
Now, for me personally, that's the game I'm going to. I've already told my wife, I'm like, hey, me and you are going to this game. This is the one game I want to go to this year.
I know you told me.
'Cause
I'm
I
jealous
want
too, Eddie.
to. I was like, I want to be in the
Yeah.
stands when Russell Wilson comes back and Bo Nix goes out there and dices that guy up. I think Bo Nix is going to ball and Russell Wilson's probably going to fumble the game away to the Broncos. he's going to bail out of the pocket, and there's going to be Baron Browning in his face, stripping the ball out of his hands. What do you think?
Yes, Sean is gonna bring every trick on the book. He's gonna be ready, even more than that Saints game. He's gonna be
Yep.
ready. So I can't wait, man. I
Well,
can't wait.
because
That's gonna be.
I agree with you. He is. This is this is the main game. Like I said, Sean Payton's probably circling that New Orleans game. This is he's probably got a few on the schedule. But this is the main one.
Yeah.
This is going to determine, who's going to win the marriage. Is it going to be Russell Wilson or Sean Payton? And I'd be hesitant to say that Sean Payton's not going to be like, you know what? No, I'm going to win this divorce. This is my team. I'm going to prove to everybody in the world, all the media, all the critics, everybody, that
It was
Russell
him, not me.
Wilson was the problem last year in Denver.
Exactly. And he knows his weaknesses, so he's gonna go to the defensive coordinator and say, "Hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do." So
Honestly, I don't think he's going to have to say nothing. He'd be like, hey, man, just keep everybody in coverage and just rush 3. And Russ is going to see if he's going to see a ghost, and he's just going to bail out, and you're going to get him anyway. That's what's probably going to happen, honestly. Like, you got VJ. A lot of people didn't even like the hire of VJ coming back to Denver, but VJ ain't got to do nothing special. Just literally just rush 4, keep everybody else in coverage. Russ is going to help you win the game. I'm not trying to bash the guy too bad, but after watching him for 2 years here in Denver, like, I think what was it, the New England game, the last game he played for us, like he had a clean, like the one play that a lot of people are talking about, oh, this is what got Russell Wilson benched. He was in the pocket, had a clean pocket, started scrambling, and then, pretty much put pressure on the offensive line because they're trying to block and they don't know where Russell Wilson's at because they know, they don't know if he's in the pocket or not. And he gets sacked, and then 3 of the offensive guys, after Russ is on the ground, they just look at him, turn around, walk off the field. I'm like, that's all you got to do. Just Russ is going to help win you this game. This is going to be the last thing. Like, this is going to be Russ's parting gift to Broncos country. Like, here you go. Here's a free win. Because he's going to do it. He's going to screw it up, and he's going to give the game to the Broncos. Bo Nix ain't going to have to be Superman. Like, we're just going to be sitting here like, just run the ball, let Bo Nix, throw a couple of passes, and just let the defense just tee off. And Russ is going to make the mistakes.
So Eddie, when do you actually see Justin Field? Maybe I know Russell is probably going to get benched at some point.
Honestly,
halfway through the season, maybe.
No, I think it's going to be sooner than that. It could possibly even be after week 2 if they start 0-2. The Steelers, if they start 0-2, I don't know who their first week game is. But if they lose in week 1 and lose to us in week 2, I could see Justin Fields being benched. The only reason why I say that is because, I think the last 8 games for the Steelers of the year is the Commanders. They got the Ravens twice, the Bengals twice. They got the Chiefs. They got the Eagles. They got a gauntlet at the end of the season. And, what's the one thing everybody talks about Mike Tomlin for? He's never went under 500. So Texans week 1, thank you. They got the Texans week 1 and us in week 2. If Mike Tomlin doesn't want to have a losing season, he's going to have to start off high. Because the end of the season, there's a very good chance they go 0-8 in that last 8 games of the season with that gauntlet they got. So, but yeah, if Russell Wilson's playing poorly week 1 and week 2, and that over 500 streak is on the line for Mike Tomlin, I could see Russ getting benched if they go 0-2.
There's no way they're beating the Texans. I know that.
No, and like you said, I'm gonna put it down right now. I don't think they're gonna beat the Broncos either. You're gonna be in Mile High. Everybody's gonna, all the fans, including myself, because like I said, I'm gonna be there, are gonna be going nuts. Like I said, Sean Payton's got this game circled. This is the main one he's looking forward to. I say the Saints is second, Steelers is first because of the Russell Wilson thing. Payton's going to put it all out there, and he's going to win this game. And then, if Russ is playing poorly, now if Russ is playing well and they still lose to, the first 2 games, they still might change it up just to see if they can get a spark on offense. Because I think Mike Tomlin's going to do anything he can to protect that, above 500 streak.
I mean, I think the NFL should have made that a primetime game. I don't know why they didn't. That would have been sweet.
They probably would have made a lot more money, but it just, it's the
Yeah.
Steelers who've been above, slightly above 500, not really making the playoffs, just barely above 500. Then you got the Broncos, who's been pretty much irrelevant the last 8 years, can't make the playoffs,
Hmm.
always under 500. Like, that's why they took us off Monday Night Football last year and why we only got two primetime games this year.
Hmm.
Like, until the Broncos start winning, we're not going to have a whole lot of primetime games, you know. But yeah, this is going to be the game to watch because, like, I think it, like you said, the Steelers lose to the Texans week 1, and then they come to Denver and lose to Denver. That could be a key turning point for Russell, like the Steelers and Russell Wilson, because I could totally see them. Like, if Russ plays very, very poorly, Justin Fields is going to be out there.
Hmm.
It could be week 2, it could be week 3, or anything like that. But yeah, that's a big game. That's the one game I'm looking forward to and want to go to this year, personally myself. So the second game we kind of talked about already is, um, the Saints game. Now this is another big game for Sean Payton. I think this is another one. Like I said, I think it's the second one marked on his calendar, but this is another big one because, like we said already, Sean Payton's going to walk in there. He's not going to want to lose. He's going to do everything he can to win this game too. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's for anybody else, I would say it's going to be an emotional game, but I don't think he's that type of person. But it's going to be
Yeah.
personal to him that he's going back and he's going to want to win. Absolutely. Especially if he goes there and they start booing for whatever
Yep.
reason. I don't know how they're
I
going
was
to,
going to ask you that too. I was going to
yeah.
ask you, what do you think what are the fans in New Orleans going to do when they see Sean Payton come back? Is it going to be
I,
like,
mhm.
oh, go ahead.
I want them to boo him, honestly, so they can piss him off and then he'll be like, I got some for you.
Yeah, here you go. Here's a little something I'm gonna pull out of my pocket for you. It's a big fat L.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but just like Russell Wilson with the Seahawks a few years back, it was kind of a mixed reaction. Not a lot of fans booed, or some fans booed, some fans cheered. It was like a mixed reaction. They didn't really know how to feel about it. I think it's gonna be kind of the same thing with Sean Payton. Like, probably more of the booing. Honestly, I think you're right. I think they are gonna boo because Sean Payton wasn't fired from New Orleans. He left. He
Mm-hmm.
just, like, the cap screwed up. I'm out. I'm done. I'm
Screw
not gonna
this,
try to
yeah.
fix this. So they're probably kind of ticked off at him about that. And they've been stuck with Dennis Allen for the last couple of years. And now, they're going to be in cap hell. They're, going to be looking for a new coach this next offseason.
Mm.
So I think they're going to boo him, honestly. And you're right.
Good.
That's probably going to PO Sean Payton a lot.
Exactly. Good. Good.
And he's
I
going to
hope
want to
they do.
win.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that's another big game. Sean Payton, he's not going to lose that game. The next game is, I would say a lot of people were talking about this, is the Jerry Judy revenge game, the other primetime game that we have against the Cleveland Browns.
Hmm.
I don't see this as a revenge game. Like, what's Judy getting revenge for? Hey, I'm going to come back to Denver and drop some more balls for the Cleveland Browns. At least I'm not in a Broncos uniform. Like, what's your take on this?
Honestly, Eddie, I always thought Jerry Judy was kind of childish. I never really cared for his personality per se. But yeah, like you, I don't really see anything special. I mean, of course he's gonna be trying to, prove that you guys, like, I can't believe you all traded me and all this crap. But what is he gonna do, really?
Yeah,
Not
I don't
catch
think
any
he's going to.
balls? That's probably what he's
Yeah,
gonna do. Not
you're
catch
probably
anything.
going to see what's their tight end they have. The tight end that was like balling last year for him. I forgot what his name was. But the tight end over there, Njoku, he's probably gonna be balling more than Jerry Judy is in that game. You think, but you would think that Jerry Judy would be like, "Hey, I'm gonna put my big boy pants on, and I want to show Denver they really screwed up to get rid of me." But it's like, until he can prove he can, do it and be that guy, He's just another guy. He's a jag, in my opinion. Just like Steve Smith Sr. said last year, he's a jag. He's just a guy. Great decoy. That's probably what maybe he'll do against the Broncos, just be a great decoy for Njoku or whoever the other top receiver is there in Cleveland. But there's actually a couple honorable mention games I want to mention. For not really revenge games, but big games for the Broncos got coming up this year. The second one, or this next one was a game that we already had last year that a lot of people, are talking about. Oh, this is a revenge game. Blah blah blah. Is the Jets? I'm
Hmm.
like that's not a revenge game in my opinion. Like we played the Jets last year. We played our former coach. They beat us. It's over. Like this is just another game in my opinion. What do you think?
I think it all depend on Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be, it's going to depend on that. But I mean, as far as it being special, not really. I don't really see anything special about the game.
No,
But
I
like I
agree.
said, yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. Like if Nathaniel Hackett was our coach last year, then I'd be like, yeah, this is a revenge game for Hackett. But that game happened last year. He
yeah,
was our coach in 2022, and we played him in 2023, and we lost. Now, you know, the last speculation that came out a couple of weeks ago about the Jets tried to replace Hackett, like 2 weeks ago, or it came out 2 weeks ago that they were trying to replace Hackett during the season last year because I realized how bad he was. But, the only thing this could do for me is like if the Broncos go into New York. What's up, Michael?
very much.
Nice to see you,
So,
man. But the only thing it's going to do for me personally is we go into New Jersey this year and we play the Jets and we beat them. It just means okay, we finally tied the bridge with Nathaniel Hackett. Like he beat us last year, we beat him this year. So that's the only thing I see. But the last game, I would say that's a big game, not really a revenge game, but a big game for the Broncos is the games against the Raiders. They have
oh
to snap
yes,
that streak this year. They have to. And I think that's on Sean Payton's mind. I think he's got probably that game against the Raiders here in Denver circled on his
exactly.
calendar as well.
Hmm.
Like, hey, we got to break the streak. We broke Kansas City's last year. We got to break the Raiders this year. What do you think?
Absolutely, and they're not that good to be honest with you. I mean, we should be able to beat them, especially at home. Come on, let's get this the monkey off of our back, if you would say. But yeah, why not? Let's do it. You know how I feel about the Raiders, so
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I don't like him either. I mean, of course, I hate the Chiefs more, but it's like, the Raiders are the second team I hate the most, outside of Kansas City. But it's just, I agree. Like, they don't have Josh Jacobs anymore. You ain't got to worry about that. I mean, we don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. Granted, we don't know who ours is going to be, but I mean, I think it's going to be Bo Nix. I think that'd be the smart move. But even if we knew who our quarterback was, it's like we don't know who the Raiders quarterback's going to be. Is it going to
Mhm.
be Minshew? Is it going to be Aiden O'Connell? We don't know. And I mean, I can't really say too much for Aiden O'Connell. I mean, granted, the Raiders defense, I mean, there was that game last year where they played the Chiefs, man. That defense looked on fire for the Raiders. They took down Mahomes, but I agree. They need to get that monkey off their back this year. I think this is another game
Mhm.
Sean Payton has circled on his calendar saying, no, we got to snap this streak this year. No
Yeah,
fans are butt about it. We have to snap it.
I'm gonna be
Um,
fired up.
yeah, definitely. And so with all those, I wanted to go through game by game and uh, talk about the games and go through them individually, talk about them, say that's going to be a win or a loss. And at the end of it, give our record predictions. So I got them all wrote down on my phone too. I had to go through and
Mhm.
just write them down because I'm not going to remember all this stuff off the top of my head. So week one, we got or the Seahawks in Seattle. I got this marked as a dub. Like I think Sean
Mhm.
Payton is going to go in there with Bo Nix. I mean, the Seahawks, they're in shambles. They lost their head coach this offseason. I mean, they still got a talented roster, don't get me wrong. But
Mhm.
like Gino kind of like he had a good 2022 campaign, but he kind of fell off in 23. They got a new head coach. I think that's a win for the Broncos, honestly. What do you think?
Same thing. I got us winning. Got a W for that one.
Okay, cool. Um, but like I said, new coach, Geno Smith probably not going to be that great. And honestly, I just I think this is going to be a revenge game from a couple years ago. This is going to be the Super Bowl for getting rid of Russell Wilson. Bowl. That's what this is going to be. Um, week two, of course, we know what that is. The Steelers come to town. You know, we've already talked about this. I got Russ fumbling the game away. I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Broncos are going to win. The Broncos are going to win it because, like I said, Russell Wilson's going to make a stupid mistake, if not a couple, and it's going to give us the game. What do you think?
Absolutely. I can't imagine like the fans gonna be booing. Oh my god, I feel bad for the guy.
I don't know if the fans are going to be booing so much. Like, I like Russ. I mean, I know
Mhm.
this has been the same saying. I know it's probably tired. People are tired of hearing, but Russ is a nice guy. Like, I'll give him that. I just don't think he's a good football player. You know, as good of a football player as he used to be, and that's even saying not that much either, because it really wasn't him in Seattle. It was the defense and the run game.
Yeah.
Whenever he needed to make a play, he can make it. But he wasn't the guy ever to put the team on his back and carry them to a win or a Super Bowl. So, yeah, but the Steelers, they're going to come here. Mike Tomlin, he's like I said, and I do believe it's going to be a tough game because Mike Tomlin's going to be coaching for, like I said, his 500 streak and
Mhm.
probably for his job. Because if you've heard, a lot of people are talking like if he goes under 500 this year, the Steelers are going to fire him. So he's probably going to be coaching for his job. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, he's definitely going to be playing hard.
Mhm.
Um, week 3, going to Tampa Bay to play the Bucks. This is where I got the Broncos taking their first loss. The
Mhm.
hot weather, Bo Nix, just down there in the South. He's used to being up here in the North area. So I got the Broncos taking a loss against that defense in Baker Mayfield. What say you?
Same. I have us losing that game as well. It's gonna be tough, you know, playing over there, and they're a pretty decent team. I think it's gonna be close, but got us
I think
losing.
the Broncos win on the last second field goal. That's what I'm feeling.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Probably it'll be 21-21, and then the Will Lutz will come out and kick a game-winning field goal, 24-21. That's what I think it'll be personally, because I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. Broncos. Sean Payton's gonna be like, I want to start out 3-0, but
Hmm.
I just think they let this one slip through their fingers. So going on to week 4, I know we're kind of rushing through these, so we got to kind of
Hmm.
talk a little bit more, but even though this is probably going to be a hard one, we got the Jets in New York. So we got 2 back-to-back road games, both on the East Coast. I don't even think the Broncos are probably going to come home between week 3 and week 4. They'll probably just stay on the East Coast.
Hmm.
But with that said, though, with that out there, I think the Broncos beat the Jets. I think Sean Payton does want to win this game a little bit more than some other ones. Like, we talked about the main ones, but I do think this is a game Sean Payton wants to win because he wants to prove that this to me will also show that, hey, we lost to the Jets last year after all the smack talk I did, but it wasn't on me. That was on Russell Wilson. I think this is another, kind of stab and twist the knife into Russell Wilson's side, like Peyton being like, we need to beat these guys and we're going to beat these guys. So I think we got a dub here.
Honestly, got us losing to the Jets. I think being on the road back to back might be tough, but like I said, it'll all depend on Aaron Rodgers. Like, is he healthy? Is he playing well? And they have a really good defense too. So I don't know. See us losing that one.
Okay. And I understand. Like, I mean, to me, that game can go either way, but I just
Hmm.
feel like Sean Payton's going to want to be, like I said, he's going to stick that knife into Russ's ribs a little bit more and twist it and show Broncos country and everybody like, see, listen, we lost this game last year because Russ fumbled the game away. We had a chance to win and we lost it because of him. I think it was this week 5. We got the Raiders in Denver. This is where we snap the streak. I think this is where it's done. The Raiders come in. I think I think the Raiders are probably going to cycle through quarterbacks this year. I don't think, they'll probably pick one to start, and then the Raiders are probably going to go on a little bit of a losing streak, maybe, not look so good. And they'll probably switch it up, kind of like what the Steelers have done over the years. Like, oh, let's change out quarterbacks and see how it works. But I think the Broncos are going to take this one, in Denver, uh, week 5. They're going to snap the streak. Sean Payton's going to take it right here. What do you think?
I agree, 100%. I think we're gonna embarrass the Raiders too. It's about time.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
about
think it
time.
is. And I don't even think it's going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a freaking blowout.
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton's going to be like, you know what? This is going to be the Raiders, or they have outside of Devontae and Max Crosby, they have probably the worst roster in the
Hmm.
AFC West with probably the 4th best head coach, 4th best quarterback, Like, I think Sean Payton's going to be like, you know what? No, I'm putting my freaking foot down this year. I got my guy. We're going to blow these cats out. So that's what I think. But you'll like this, okay? So right now I got us sitting at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got us sitting at 4-1 by week 5. What do you got us sitting at right now, Mohammed?
By week 5, 3-2.
Okay, so we're only a game off.
Yeah.
But this is where it's going to get good for everybody because I think at with these next 3 games coming up, you got the Chargers, Saints, and Panthers. So go being 4-1 with that lineup coming up, I think a lot of Broncos country or a lot of Bronco fans would be happy about that. So week 6, we got the Chargers coming to town. Now, I understand the whole Jim Harbaugh thing, Justin Herbert. I understand that the Chargers are probably going to be better than what they've normally been. But I'm sorry, they're still the Chargers. Until they prove me wrong, they're still the freaking Chargers. I got the Broncos taking the game at home against the Chargers. I think like we split with the Chargers almost every year. We sweep them. I think this year we will split, but I think that the Broncos take the Chargers here in Denver, and just I think Harbaugh and Justin Herbert still kind of fresh together. Justin Herbert really ain't got a whole lot of weapons. I think the Broncos take this. What do you think?
I don't know, Eddie. I got us losing. It could go either way, but I'm kind of terrified of the Chargers, to be honest with you now, especially with Jim Harbaugh and all that stuff. But hey, we're playing at home. It could go either way, but I have us losing. Hope I'm
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah, well, I completely understand. I understand the whole Jim Harbaugh thing.
Mhm.
I don't think Sean Payton's gonna get swept by Jim Harbaugh. I understand he's a good coach, but so is Sean Payton. At least Sean Payton won a Super Bowl.
True.
So
You had to go
so
there, right, Eddie?
I'm sorry, I had to. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jim
Uh,
Harbaugh was in a Super Bowl with the 49ers, but did he win it?
yeah.
No, he got beat by the Ravens.
Yep, he sure did. By his own brother.
So the next week, right? So right now I got sitting at 5-1. The next week we got the Saints in New Orleans. Now we kind of talked about this game, a little bit. This is a big game for Sean Payton, and like you said, I think he's going to coach and play his heart out in this game. I got the Broncos taking the dub here.
I agree. I agree. That's gonna be a good game, and like I said, man, I hope they boo Sean Payton when he comes in and have all these weird signs and stuff. I'm like, yeah, get him all fired up and see what happens. He'll make you pay for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Like he's going to walk in there and be like, you know what? I love New Orleans. You guys were good to me for all those years, but let me show you what I can do with my quarterback that I handpicked. I mean,
Mhm.
granted, he kind of picked, Drew Brees, but Drew Brees was already drafted.
True.
And the whole thing of, oh, was it Brees? Was it Peyton? It was both of them. Like they had to be together for that to work. If Drew Brees would have stayed in Los Angeles, I don't think he wins the Super Bowl. Same with Sean Payton. I don't, he had to get his guy. I
Mhm.
don't think Sean Payton won a Super Bowl without Drew Brees either. I think they both needed each other. I don't think it was one or the other, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, so I got us taking a dub here. So I got the Broncos sitting at 6-1 by 5, 6, 7. By week 7, I got us sitting at 6-1 on our schedule so far. So that brings me up to week 8. We got the Panthers that come to town. Peyton should bring in Brees. I think he should too, honestly. I think that'd
Mhm.
be a good thing. Just help the kid, guide him. I mean, could you imagine having Drew Brees and Peyton Manning both in Bo Nix's ear helping
Good
him?
God. Yes,
Holy
absolutely.
crap. Feeding them all that information. I would love it, honestly. What do you think?
Absolutely. Do you think Breeze would probably have an issue with that though? I mean,
He was
he
here
should
at
be.
Broncos training camp last year when Sean Payton was here, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
He was here when Russell Wilson was here, and he came to training camp, I think, 1 day or maybe 2 days when Peyton was here. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm sure if like Sean Payton or Bo Nix called him and said, "Hey, Breeze, could you come over here and maybe give me a hand or help me out a little bit, maybe give me some
Sure.
information and help me?"
Confidence too.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
help with confidence.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Breeze would come in and help him and help his
Hmm.
former coach. I have no doubt in my mind he would.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be great. Having Peyton Manning and Drew Brees in your ear, helping you, guide you. Two of the best
heavily.
in the game to ever do it. But
Yeah.
so week 8, I got yeah, week 8 we got the Panthers coming to town, and I'm sorry, but this is a dub for me. Like the Panthers are a dumpster fire, and I actually said this a few weeks ago that David Tepper is just another Jerry Jones. He's too meddlesome in the freaking Panthers, decision making. He won't let the people that, like the football people do the football stuff. Like
Exactly.
he's doing it as an owner, and it's going to like they're not as good as the Cowboys. Like they're not America's team. They never won a Super Bowl. They don't have that history. He's going to just keep this franchise in poverty, if you ask me. So I got the Broncos taking the dub here. What do you think?
Absolutely, we're winning. I feel bad for Bryce Young. I don't think he's in a good situation. I think he's a good kid, good quarterback, but until they get things figured out, and like you said, Tepper keep interfering. It's another Jerry Jones, the same situation. I mean, it's sad, but hey, we get a W for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of feel bad for Bryce Young.
Mm.
But we'd be talking about this too. Still, like even if they would have drafted C.J. Stroud, C.J. Stroud would probably be like in the same situation.
Hmm.
He's got a good coach, no meddlesome owners in Houston. They put a fairly decent team around that kid, and yeah, I agree. I feel really bad for freaking Bryce Young. I'm hoping maybe after his rookie contract's up, he gets to go somewhere else and
Hmm.
maybe
Get a
revise his
chance.
get his career off the ground finally. So going into I think it's week 9, we got the Broncos going to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Now, these guys were in the AFC Championship game last year against the Chiefs. And honestly, they were my pick to win the Super Bowl last year. And they should have made it to the Super Bowl. I'm not just saying that because I hate the Chiefs, but it's like they just didn't run the ball. The one thing that got them to that point, they just didn't do in the AFC Championship game. Like if the Ravens would have ran the ball, they probably go to the Super Bowl. And honestly, in my opinion, they win it. Um, but with that said, we talked about this earlier. Broncos got all these young, or not young, but these new pieces, people they brought in to help stop the run. If the Ravens stick to the run, I do believe the Broncos will help stop it. But, the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, duo in the backfield, like I think the Broncos defense struggles a little bit there. I think, the defense gets kind of beat and gets worn out. I got the Broncos taking an L in Baltimore.
Me too. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't see us. It's gonna be tough. If he was at home, maybe we'll have a chance. But yeah, I got an
Yeah.
L as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just a tough road game,
Hmm.
I there's no way stopping Derrick Henry. I mean, the one person on our team, like there was a couple years back, we played the Titans in back-to-back years. There was one person on our team that would always stop Derrick Henry. He would stop him in the backfield. And guess who he plays for now? The Carolina Panthers. Oh, and that's another game I almost forgot to mention. Josie Jewell coming back to Denver with the Panthers and
Oh
Ajiro
yeah,
Evero.
right, right.
They're coming back to Denver, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, Josie Jewell was the one that always stopped Derrick Henry. Like he get the ball in the backfield, Josie Jewell back there just pops him and knocks him down. Like he was like the Derrick Henry, kryptonite. Kind of like Von Miller was Cam Newton's kryptonite.
Yeah,
So he's no longer there. Derrick Henry and Lamar, I think, are going to feast in that game, honestly. And it's probably not going to be a very good looking game for the Broncos. Um, the very next game we have is against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. So we got back-to-back road games. They'll probably go to Baltimore, come home, rest for a couple days, and then probably go to Kansas City because it's only one state away. But I got the Broncos taking an L here. Defending Super Bowl champs, division rival. It's in Kansas City. I have to say the Broncos are going to take a loss here. I hate to say it, but it's going to happen. What say you?
same thing. I have us losing to Kansas City. You know, going to their home, and yeah, same
Yeah,
thing. And now,
it's gonna be a rough game, and can't everybody's talking about the Kansas City Chiefs three-peating. God, I hope that doesn't happen. I'm gonna cry myself to sleep every night. The Kansas City wins a third straight Super Bowl. Um, but So we both got them taking a loss here.
Mhm.
um, the Falcons come to Denver, the very next week. I'm sorry to say, I hate to do it, but I got the Broncos taking a loss here. I think Kirk Cousins with that offense. Granted, I think our defense is going to be good. The Falcons' defense ain't very good. I feel like Kirk Cousins is going to be like out there. He's gonna do his thing, and they're gonna beat us. It'll be a close game. I
Mhm.
think another 3-point game. I think it'll be probably a high scoring game too, because I don't think that the Falcons defense is very good. Excuse me. So I got the Broncos losing probably like I'd say 27-24. What say you?
I actually have us winning, but that game does kind of worry me a little bit because of Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. They're just so freaking talented all over. But I got us winning.
Yep. Okay. That's good. But so the very next game we got is the second matchup against the Raiders in Las Vegas. As much as I have dogged on the Raiders, I think they're going to be fourth place in the division this year. Just the head coach, don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Josh Jacobs gone, can't run the ball effectively enough. I still got the Broncos splitting with the Raiders. I got them taking the L here because I said earlier the Broncos are going to beat the Raiders at home. So I got the Broncos taking an L here. What say you?
Same thing. I have us losing in Vegas.
Okay. So the very next game is our last primetime game as of right now, and that's when the Browns come here to Denver and play the Broncos in Denver. I got the Broncos winning this one. Like I said last year, with or without Deshaun Watson, I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to be this all type pro freaking player until he proves that he can be again. I don't see it. Nick Chubb is probably going to be, I hate to say it, but a shell of himself. We played this defense last year and we hung 29 points on them. I got the Broncos taking a dub here. What say you?
Same thing. I got us winning. It's really the Broncos are really tough at home, so really hard to win.
Well, if
So
there's one person on that team that's going to be used to the elevation here, it's going to be Jerry Judy, but he's just going to drop every freaking pass. Wouldn't that
exactly.
be so funny if like the Broncos are up by like, a field goal or a touchdown or something, and the Browns are driving down the field and they go to throw it to Jerry Judy and he goes to try to catch it and it bounces off his hands and the Broncos just catch it and run it back for a pick six.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that'll be
that
a
would be
classic.
so funny. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
that'll scar him for life.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
Mhm.
he's never going to want to step foot back in Denver again after that.
No,
Ever.
yeah, scar for life.
So, but yeah, I got the Broncos taking the dub here. The very next week we got the Colts here in Denver. Anthony Richardson, is he going to be healthy? I mean, I'm sure he'll be ready to go by then, but you know, we still don't even know what Anthony Richardson is or what he could be. I mean, he looked okay in the first couple of games he played last year before, he got injured and was out for the season. Um, Jonathan Taylor, I'm not really too worried about. I mean, he didn't really do too much last year. Or was he hurt too? I can't remember off the top of my head. Remind me in the comments, Graham. Um, they got who did they take at 15 this year? I think Latu. So they might
Hmm.
have a decent pass rusher, coming after Bo Nix. But I don't think the Colts have the roster yet. We don't know what Anthony Richardson could be. I mean, I like Shane Steichen as a head coach, but until like Anthony Richardson hasn't proved anything yet. What say you?
Same thing. I have us winning. I don't think they're that special, to be honest with you. So
Oh, and Jonathan Taylor torn a ligament in his thumb. Okay, so he was out last year.
we're definitely
So,
winning them.
being out for a whole year, he might have some rust coming back into the game. So I don't really see Jonathan Taylor tearing it up coming back in this year. Anthony Richardson, like I said, we got to see how he does and what he could be. The jury's still out on him. And their defense doesn't really scare me. I mean, Latu, he's a rookie. We got to see how he does. He could be a bust. I doubt it, but he might be a good player too. So who knows? But like I said, I got them taking a win against the Colts. Now, the next week, December 22nd, we got the Los Angeles Chargers in Los Angeles. This is where I think the Broncos lose. I think this is where Jim Harbaugh finally gets the better of Sean Payton. And like I said earlier, they split. The Broncos win at home, Chargers win at home, and they split that series. What do you think?
Same thing. I have us losing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna week 14 by for the Broncos, 13 straight NFL season. Okay. Yeah, because that's the other thing
That
too.
is right. I didn't notice. He's right.
Yeah, the Broncos have a week 14 bye this year, man. That's crazy to me.
Good
You
God.
know, but yeah, I think the Chargers, win that game here. I think Jim Harbaugh establishes himself. I just don't think they're going to be passing the ball too much this year because you know what Jim Harbaugh likes to do. He likes to run. He drafted Alt at 5. They're going to build up the trenches and they're going to run that freaking ball. So that's what their game's going to be. So I think the Broncos are probably going to be better suited in playing the Chargers. Prepare for the run because that's probably what Jim Harbaugh is going to do. So, but yeah, I got them taking a loss there. The very next week, we got the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. I got the Broncos taking a loss here. Like, if Joe Burrow, like we all think I'm pretty sure he's coming back for the 2024 season. He'll be ready to go. But even by, I think that's week 17, he'll be back. And Burrow if Burrow's healthy and playing with the Bengals, they're a dangerous freaking team. Like, he is the difference between them making the playoffs or the Super Bowl and not making the Super Bowl or the playoffs. So I think the Broncos take an L here to the Cincinnati Bengals. What say you?
Same thing. I have us losing to the Bengals. It's going to be difficult going to their home and beating them. So, yeah.
And most could argue this could be if P. Ryan's still on the roster, this could be the P. Ryan revenge game. He goes in and be like, hey, you guys shouldn't have got rid of me. I don't think it's going to make a difference. It's still fun to think about.
Score a touchdown or two. That'd be nice.
Yeah, like, see, Joe, you shouldn't have got rid, or Cincinnati should have got rid of me. I still score touchdowns to catch passes. So, but yeah, I got an L there. You got an L. Joe Mixon not being there anymore is big. Oh, yeah, that's right. Joe Mixon's not there. That's right. Oh, I forgot about that. I don't even know who the running back is now. I think Joe Mixon, didn't he go to the Houston Texans or something? He went to some team in the South, I believe. I'm not sure. But final game of the season, week 18 here in Denver. We got the Kansas City Chiefs coming from Denver. And I'm not scared to say it. I'm not riding on my high horse, but the Broncos take the win here to close out the season. They're going to beat the Chiefs at home. The Chiefs ain't beating us at home. We finally ended that streak. That monkey's off our backs. We didn't get this big cloud over our head, all this pressure. Like, we got to beat the Chiefs. We got to end the streak. The streak ended last year. There's going to be no pressure on the Broncos. They're just going to be like, you know what? We're going to walk in here week 18, just smack the Chiefs out of our building. What do you think?
Same thing. I have us winning at home. Close the year. Close the season. Hopefully, we're going to the playoffs after this. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I did see a lot of people talk about this, like national media pundits and stuff talk about this. They said that by week 18, the last week of the season, the Chiefs could have the 1 or the 2nd seed already locked up for the playoffs and come into week 18 be resting their starters, be resting Kelsey, resting Mahomes, resting all their big-time starters. So the Broncos will be playing probably a bunch of backups, and that's probably true. The Chiefs will probably lock up their playoff spot regardless of what seed it is, probably week 16 or 17. They'll lock it up. And they'll be like, why do we can't move. We can't go up or down. Let's just rest our starters and get ready for the playoffs. And it'll make the Broncos' job a little bit easier. So I do believe that. I believe that they rest their starters. Broncos are, they're going to come into Denver. Patrick Mahomes will be on the bench. And that's going to be a big thing. Like, people are going to be like, well, you didn't play against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Yeah, well, we did last year with Russell Wilson. We kicked their freaking butt.
We sure did. Yeah. So, I hope they take a step back this year. I hope they suck.
I hope so too. I hope this would be a dream scenario for me. A dream freaking scenario. The Broncos come in first, win the division. Chargers come in second, because honestly, I'm not saying I want any team in the division to win anything, because I don't. But if I had to pick, I'd rather the Chargers come in second. I'm so tired of the Chiefs. I hate the Raiders. At least the Chargers, if they freaking get there, they're probably not going to do anything because they suck. Like I said, they're the Chargers. Until they prove me wrong, they're still the basement dwellers of the division. No Super Bowl titles, nothing. So That's what I think. That'd be great. Chiefs coming third, Chargers coming second, Raiders coming last, we coming first. That'd be like the dream scenario, even though I'm probably sleeping right now saying that because it's not going to happen. So, but with that said, I got the Broncos going 10-7 this year. What do you got them going this year, Mohammed?
I got him winning 9 games.
Okay,
So
so we're not
um,
too far off. You got them
yeah.
losing or one less game than I do. Now,
Mhm.
here's the thing. I don't think 9-8 is going to be good enough to make the playoffs. There's so many teams in the that's the difference. Well, that's the difference of one game could make, honestly.
Mhm.
From 9 to 10 wins. There's so many good teams in the AFC. There's probably like, if I had to guess, like 10 teams out of 14 teams or 16 teams. I'm sorry, in the conference, that are better than the Broncos. And there's only 7 playoff spots, but 10-7 to me could get you there. I mean, granted, you're gonna have a lot of things fall your way. Certain teams lose, certain teams win. They knock off certain teams. I think the Broncos go 10-7, and they're going to need some help from other teams that are out of the playoffs completely to knock off some of them other 10-7 teams to give the Broncos a better chance of getting into the playoffs. I think they could make the playoffs, but like I said, 10-7, they're going to need help.
Yeah, and
But
see Eddie, like with Bo Nix, the good thing is like he's not gonna be throwing a lot of interceptions. He's
no,
not gonna fumble the ball. He doesn't do the dumb stuff, right? So that's a good
no.
thing. That gives me
And
confidence.
well, here's my thing too. Like, we've talked about it, right? If Bo Nix is, like I said, Sean Payton's guy, 110%. This is the guy that can run Sean Payton's system, perfectly, get the ball out on time, throw open receivers, get the timing routes down, throw over the middle, do all the stuff that has been said with him coming into the Sean Payton system and how he's the perfect fit for Sean Payton's team. And he probably went, they say that Bo Nix went to the best situation. He, out of all the quarterbacks in this
I
draft,
agree.
he's gone to the best situation. If that is all true, I personally think that Bo Nix and the Broncos and Sean Payton together is worth at least 2 more wins than last year. We went 8-9 last year. What was a successful NFL season? I think the Broncos having a winning record. Mohamed said 9-8. If Bo Nix has a 9-8 season and the Broncos go 9-8, that's a successful season and improvement from Bo Nix with that stretch. That's an improvement. I'm sorry, that's a good year for Bo Nix. But going 10-7, putting your team in the playoff mix. I think, like I said, Russell Wilson got you 7 wins last year. Because remember, Jared Stidham got 1 win for us. He beat the Chargers last year after
Mhm.
Wilson got benched. I believe Bo Nix, like I said, with all that stuff we talked about, all the stuff that everybody's been saying, if all that is true, Bo Nix and Sean Payton together should be at least we're 2 wins. So I think 10-7 should be the, you know, honestly, I say 9-8 should be the floor, 10-7 should be the ceiling this year. After that, it could be whatever. Because like next offseason, they're gonna have 100 million plus in cap space, have all their draft picks, and they can really build this roster up for 2025. But yeah, 10-7, I think 2 more wins with Sean Payton and Bo Nix should be doable, and that should be what we expect this year, honestly. What do you think?
Right. I mean, for me, it's like regardless of our record, I think if I just see improvements from Bo Nix, like every game, like every week, like I see that he's improving. I see progress. He's kind of learning the playbook. He's getting better. I think that's a successful season for us.
Yeah, I agree.
Since he's a rookie quarterback, yeah.
But also at the same time, Sean Payton's going to want to, like, not only is he going to want to beat Russell Wilson this year and, be
Mhm.
like, show everybody, like, hey, Russ was the problem. It wasn't me. I got my guy. To me, the Broncos have to have a better, like, for that whole thing to come to fruition, for Sean to be like, 100%, this was all on Russ last year, not me. I think the Broncos have to have a better record than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like,
Yeah.
and that's if Russell Wilson starts all season. Like, if he plays poorly,
Mhm.
like I said earlier in the video, and they bench him in like week 3 or 4 for Justin Fields, and to me, that argument really doesn't make a difference. Russell Wilson has to play the whole season for that to be the case.
Mhm.
But I think also, well, it might not only be the case because Peyton's got to be like, you know what? I was able to get 8 wins between Russell Wilson and Jared Stidham. Now that I got the guy that I handpicked, the guy that fits my system perfectly, I've said this numerous times. I have to at least have a winning season. At the bare minimum, you have to have a winning season to me. Yes, improvement from Knicks. I agree with you on that, Mohamed. He has to be improved. He's got to be getting better and better every week, but I think he also has to have a winning record. He doesn't necessarily need to make the playoffs. Even if they go 10-7, they might miss the playoffs, but a 9-8 record at the very least, the Broncos and
Above 500. Yeah.
They
It's a
have
good
to
question, Michael. Very good question, Michael.
No problem, man. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Mohamed, we've been going for an hour tonight, man. We're actually at 1 hour and 27 seconds. Longest video we've made so far together. So,
Wow.
but I think we cleared a lot of the stuff up. We got to go over the schedule. We got to talk about the prime time, the revenge games. We got our record predictions in there. I had a blast tonight, man. What about you?
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure. And we have fun talking Broncos. Can't beat that.
Nope. And that pretty much I tell everybody all the time, including my wife. I'm like, all that's up here is video games and Broncos football. There's no room for anything else up here. So I have a blast doing this with you, man. It's been a great show. And, every Sunday, please, everybody come join us every Sunday to watch me and Mohamed discuss all things Broncos. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming. I know June's coming up. There's not a whole lot of football stuff. I mean, you got OTAs and stuff, but, we're going to bring you as much news as we can. Anything that comes out of the Broncos, camp, we're going to, give to you guys, bring it to you guys every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Please like, comment, subscribe on this video. And Mohamed, you got any last words before we head out tonight?
Like I said last week, man, the future is bright. I'm really excited about this season. And hopefully, we can end that streak and maybe make the playoffs or at least have a winning record for a change.
Yes, I agree. A winning record would be the best thing in the world for this team. And, man, if they freaking – Tuesday. I'm sorry. Yeah, OTA start on Tuesday.
Yes.
God, I'm already here, so – but, Mohamed, it's been great, man. I will talk to you next week, man. And Broncos country, thank you for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Absolutely. Bye.